Greetings to another video. Today's video is going to be finally the review of the Cannondale Synapse. I've had this bike since, I think I've had it for about 9 months now. It is on loan from Evans Cycles. Even though it's on loan, this is a completely unbiased review. It is completely 100% my opinion. I've not been told that I can or can't say anything, and it's not a paid for video. This is just genuinely my opinion on the things that I like and things that I don't like so much about. You know that I will always be honest with you, and this video is no different. So I reckon we get on to like the specs, and yeah, I reckon let's just talk about the bike. So the bike is the Cannondale Synapse Ultegra version. It retails for around £2,100. It is carbon, disc brake, and yeah, some of the stats. It's got Fulcrum Racing wheels. It has got Vittoria Rubino tyres. They are 28mm. And is there anything else to mention? Yeah, they don't actually state the weight of this, but this I weighed this bike this morning, and it weighs just under 8.5 kilos without pedals. So yeah, I feel like that's a major thing that I think people do look for in a bike. So it's not the lightest bike you're ever going to get, but equally it's nowhere near the heaviest. So yeah, I thought I would give you that fact straight away. So the first thing that I noticed with this bike, and the thing that I really love about this bike, is the comfort of it. So the geometry of it is an endurance style geometry. It means it's a bit more relaxed. You are a little you're sat a little bit more upright, and yeah, it's just a very relaxed, comfortable bike to ride. And you know that my other bike at the minute is the Giant, the Liv alloy with rim brakes, and in comparison, like, this takes out road vibration so much more. It is so much comfier to ride on Manchester's lovely potholed roads. And yeah, I found that was the main difference between those two bikes, that the comfort was just a lot more comfortable. And I don't know whether that's because it's carbon or whether it's because it's got 28mm tyres. My other bike's got 25mm. And Cannondale also state it's got micro suspension in the seat post, forks and frame, so maybe that's got something to do with it. But yeah, that was the main thing that I found, that it was just very comfortable to ride. Even though I used it mainly for commuting and for endurance rides, I did actually do some racing on it, and I feel like it felt really good. It felt responsive, it felt fast. I mean, I wish my legs were a little bit faster, but yeah, it held up. I did road races on it and I did crits on it, so I feel like it is quite a versatile bike to be able to do that. So just in case you're wanting one bike to do all those different things, I feel like it can potentially do that. So for the commuting side, one thing that I like about it is it's got mudguard mounts, which I think is really handy, and also you can fit up to a 32mm tyre on it, which I think is really, really good if you want to do a little bit more off-road stuff. So I think it would hold up having wider tyres as well. So that's another thing to know. Also, one of the main things that I really love about this bike is the gearing. So it's got a compact at the front, which is a 50-34, and at the back it's got an 11-34 cassette. And generally bikes come with either a 28 cassette or 30, a 32 at a push. And the reason that I love having a 34 is if you're wanting to climb, I love climbing, to have that extra gear or extra couple of gears, I think is not extra gear, but you have an extra lower gear, if that makes sense. So it's going to make climbing a lot easier, and it's not going to take as much fatigue out of your legs. So I think this is the first bike I've actually ever seen with a 34 just coming on the bike as standard. So I think thumbs up to Cannondale for thinking about people that want to climb, that you don't necessarily have to be grinding it out on a 28 cassette. Oh, I didn't even talk about the disc brakes. Let me get back, because the disc brakes, I have always used rim brakes. These disc brakes were incredible. They have converted. I should have even started with this, but the disc brakes, the hydraulic, so good. It's actually made me maybe want want another bike with disc brakes on, because this bike is having to go back to Evans. So yeah, that has actually converted me, and I do really like disc brakes now. So I'm like, they just, especially in the wet, potentially in summer I would still use a rim brake bike, but for in winter, hands down, definitely you want to be using hydraulic disc brakes. Very impressed with them. So right, let's jump back. Some of the things that I didn't like as much. So even though like the brakes are Ultegra, Shimano Ultegra, the actual cranks and chain set are Cannondale's own. So it's Cannondale SI cranks and FSA chain rings. And for me, this is just a personal thing, I use Shimano Stages power meter. So when I had this bike, it was just more of a faff, because I thought it was going to be full Ultegra and it isn't. So that for me, it's just more of a pain, I think, for someone like me who has got a Shimano Stages power meter. It was more of a faff, I guess, trying to figure out a way to get that on. Eventually what I did do was you can actually buy adapters, which mean that you can run Shimano on that, which is what I did. So you basically buy, they were from Evans actually, I think they were like £12. They're just like little cups that sit onto the bottom bracket, which means that you can fit a Shimano crankset. So that's something to know if you already have like a power meter like I did, which was Shimano. That's an alternative if you want to do that. Another thing that I wasn't a huge fan of, and this is just because I travel with my bike a fair bit, the seat post. Love the seat post. I love how like flush it is. However, when you take the seat post out, there are like a little, I don't even know what you'd call it, like a little bit of, I guess, plastic in there that screws to hold the seat post in place. When you take the seat post out, that kind of rattles around in there. When I first did it, I thought I'd lost that little piece in the frame. I was like, oh my God, I've lost it in the frame. And when because I took it to Le Mans and did the 24-hour race on that bike, I was worried that I was going to lose the piece on the way there. So I had to just basically pack a load of packing in the seat post hole to make sure the pieces didn't get lost or come out. So that was one like little niggle that I felt like was just bit more of an inconvenience more than anything. So there was that. And again, this is another thing that's for me, and how my body is. The Cannondale generally have quite long top tubes. So for me, who has long legs and a short reach, it's not always going to be the easiest to be fitted onto a Cannondale frame, because they do have a long top tube. So I just basically got around that by shortening the stem. But yeah, that is maybe something that you should be aware of if you, like me, have got a little T-Rex arms and T-Rex reach. So I guess in conclusion, yes, I've really enjoyed riding the bike, but it is going to be going back to Evans very shortly. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on how I've got on with it. I think for me personally, I love disc brakes for the wet, but I think for summer months, I feel like when you're on holiday and you're on really smooth roads, I think for me, disc brakes are a bit overkill. But for the wet, 100% I will be wanting to use disc brakes on future bikes in winter. So yeah, I hope you found that helpful. I hope you found it insightful. And yeah, let me know if you've ridden the Cannondale Synapse before, if you've got any other questions about it, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next video.